as I mentioned before, Network Manager is disabled by default when you first install, let's say, a Fedora system. What you want to do is turn Network Manager on. So those first two lines up there, you use the check config utility to turn Network Manager on when it boots. This is the same thing as going into your etc init.d directory and running one of those scripts. Basically, the way that Fedora does it, it creates a symbolic link into the rc.5, rc5.d, or whatever. But essentially, this check config does all that for you. If you are running in a graphical environment, which, again, we're backing up saying this, we're trying to make this as idiot possible as possible. You would run system config services, and it gives you a little window with a bunch of checkboxes for the services that you want to run at the time. Network Manager and Network Manager Dispatcher. Just turn those on. And then you can reboot. Or I actually, from the service, from system config services, you can start those services as well. This Network Manager Dispatcher, I actually don't think I have a slide that covers it, so I might as well talk about it right now. This service, having this service turned on merely tells Network Manager to go look in etc Network Manager / dispatcher.d, and any scripts that you have in that directory will be run anytime you connect to a network or disconnect from a network. So, for example, I have on my laptop, I have a script that runs the netfs service every time I connect to a network, and it tries to connect to, tries to map remote Windows and NFS shares to mount points on my.
What was the directory again?
etc Network Manager / dispatcher.d.
Somewhere under that's in the network manager.
And then anything you put in there is automatically run. That is very poorly documented. And Charles made a good comment earlier that this whole system is kind of lacking in documentation. And part of that is because it just does what it's supposed to do. There's not much to document, but the stuff that it does automatically is not very well documented. So if you're filling up to it and you want to contribute to this, there's something that you could do. Okay, so if you are running GNOME as your desktop environment, if you have the Network Manager applet running, you'll have this particular graphic here shows Network Manager running, and it shows you a little bar. It's like a signal strength meter. And when you right-click on that, it shows you wireless networks you can connect to. There's some menus you can go to, sub-menus for VPNs and Dialup. And in the case of a wireless network that's not broadcasting its SSID, you can come in here and just create a new wireless network and type in the SSID.
So
This one actually has a static configuration.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about that. What is
I just grabbed this off Google Images, so I take no responsibility for the content of these graphics. But yeah, it looks like some people have implemented static.
Well, that's probably an Ubuntu thing, and what that is, it's just a link to the system config network.
Oh, okay.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
Okay, thank you, two people.
Right, but through the GUI, you can still set up static IP configurations, and then you have to manually switch between profiles, but you still do it all through a GUI.
In Ubuntu?
File, yeah.
Okay. That's good to know.
One of these days,
As
someone said,
I think that's per
the
user because
system,
it all
the
happens
system
in
configured to do
so
something in the interface, Network Manager ignores it, and doing
Why
the
would it
static
be-
configuration puts it in the system, which will mean it will be ignored.
I actually think there's actually two parts.
So you're saying the
there's and it depends on distribution, but there's a network directory.
So like Etsy sysconfig
network,
network,
and there's also a networking or network Etsy sysconfig network scripts directory.
networking.
And the two different directories, one holds profiles, and the profiles actually work in both Ubuntu, Fedora, And you can actually set those profiles up, and that's actually what gets modified when you run like system config network or your profile.
And that's the way
that one will actually work just fine in NetworkManager. But the other one,
is this not the
like you would like system config network scripts, whatever, that whole directory will get ignored by this. And that's the difference, I think. Because I remember reading, I was looking at this stuff, and I actually have seen that sort of experience. Don't quote me on it, but I think that's what it is.
Before I started using NetworkManager, I was using profiles, and what you can do is traditionally you would have one configuration for each device, but in the case of wireless networks, you go to a different hotel, different your home, you're at the office, and so what you can do is you can create multiple profiles or nicknames for the device. So they all use the same device, but for example, I would have I have CFG-ATH0, which is the device for my Mad Wi-Fi card, _home. And so this part right here kind of identified the profile of the nickname. They all use ATH0. And so, anytime that I wanted to connect to a different network, I had to create this new configuration as root, or by using system config network or whatever. I don't know how Ubuntu or Slackware or anybody else does it. But yeah, this still is not as simple as just using NetworkManager.
As far as the that static configuration goes, it wants to the same things on my computer. I know that I've set, you can set the wireless ESS ID in there and stuff, and you can, connect to that network and everything. And that actually does write to your Etsy network interfaces file, which, if I understand right, is what makes it get ignored. Okay. I haven't tested that, but that's what I did just now. I have it working now, and I had to clear out my Etsy network interfaces file before it would work.
Interesting. So that's the NetworkManager app for GNOME. And then KNetworkManager, which is what I use because I use KDE. Very similar. I can show that to you guys quickly here. Come down here. There it is. We right-click on that to see the two wireless networks that Clint, thank you very much, has made available to us. I don't see the UTOSC because we're out of range of that.
Yeah, you can make the well, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, I just saw you over there fiddling with it. So make sure that they
All I
work.
did was push the button.
Oh, okay. Thank you for pushing your button. So this shows me relative signal strength and so forth, so I can come in here and click on that, and then in theory, it'll go through the, I think there's 5 stages here that it has to go through to get the network connection. If it doesn't work, it doesn't have to use it.
I hope so. Hope it works.
Try to have
You have the E card, you should use that. It's faster.
Now, what is
A is 802.11a.
Is that like 22 megabits?
I think it's actually 54.
But it doesn't have to downgrade for requirements.
Well, yeah, and it has multiple bandwidth too. Like you do.
A lot of channels.
Yeah.
A lot of channels. Maybe a little bit higher throughput.
Potentially.
It's better throughputs on shorter distances, whereas G is backwards compatible.
So if you're actually closer over here to this table, which is where the wireless adapter is, you would actually have a better chance of getting A.
It's 5 gig. D and G are both.
There we go.
That's why they're compatible. They're the same frequency. So A doesn't go through walls as well, but better bandwidth.
But you use your
Although I can see A all the way by.
Yeah.
I can can actually
Apparently, and can run
I don't know
over
if
5
the-
computers as well.
right. It's a pre-net.
You know, for the past 2 days, I've been using this without any problems at all. It's, you know, last session of the conference, I come in here to demonstrate this to you, and it won't connect.
It's a special case of Murphy's Law.
Clayton can vouch for it. I was under the stairs earlier today. You know,
Surfing the web.
surfing the web, posting to my blog. I couldn't have done it without Network Manager. It was working.
I don't have that nice little GUI notification outlet thing there. How'd you get that?
You know, I think I actually installed some stuff from the development repository.
So that's coming, you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, if you come in here and right-click, you can come into options. You can see, I wanted to show you guys the options that you can disable the wireless. You can switch to offline mode. Under configure, there are some things you can configure here. One thing, I think GNOME uses the equivalent of K-Wallet. I don't know exactly what that is. Like stores. Pardon me?
Just like this meeting.
Key ring, yeah. You can store your your encryption keys and so forth inside K-Wallet or whatnot. That's nice because it gives you a little bit more security. So we can come in here, wireless networks. Here are all the wireless networks that I've connected to.
Does it allow you to delete them?
What's that?
It allows you to delete them out of the list.
Does it?
Okay, because GNOME doesn't, that makes me mad.
Remove items, yeah. Like here's my network at home. And here's the access point, MAC address, and so forth. Doesn't look like I have anything that's requested. You can see that I spent some time in the X-Mission co-location and so forth. And then you can, there's some dial-up and VPN connections that you can do here as well. We'll talk about those in a minute when we get back to the presentation. Oh, here we are, VPN connections. There's 3 that I've been able to find. It seems like we just need people to write, like Open Swan, a Free Swan. Somebody needs to write a Network Manager plugin for Open Swan so you can connect to IPsec VPNs. So far, the VPN-C is the open source Cisco VPN client, which is IPsec, but it's specific to Cisco. OpenVPN, yeah, that's my favorite VPN software. And then PPTP, I just barely found that one this last week, that there's a K-Network Manager PPTP driver plugin for Network Manager. Okay, there we go. So, managing OpenVPN connections. Go in there, create OpenVPN. You can go into the Network Manager configurator. Now, KDE will launch the GNOME VPN configuration, connection configuration. So that's one thing. If you're using KDE, a little hokey. They don't have a native thing, but it just launches the GNOME one, and it works just fine. So you can go in there and say under this X509 certificates, you can change that connection type to passphrase or shared key, that sort of thing. The most common thing to do is use keys that are generated on the server. So you have a key and a certificate and a CA key that's also generated on the server. So you just put the paths to those and then save it, and it shows up as a VPN you can connect to from the applet. Any questions about that?
Nobody uses KDE.
There we go.
It was worth a try.
There we go. So Dialup this is one thing that, as I went through to document this for the presentation, I had forgotten exactly what I went through to do it. It actually launches KPPP, which requires a root password. So this actually, doing so, you're creating global entries. Essentially, it's just WB dial config entries. Now, I mentioned earlier that I use Dialup, and I don't mind using Dialup. And the reason why is because I have this little doohickey. I put my phone in it, and then I tether USB, and it creates an ACM serial device, and then I dial #777, and I'm on Sprint's EVDO. So, I take my kids to the rec center for a couple hours, let them go swimming, and I sit out in the lobby with my laptop and get some work done. And I don't have to worry about whether they got, open wireless or whatever. It's, better than about 4 to 8 times faster than 28K or something like that.
How much a month is that service how much a month is the service?
I don't know. If the bill gets paid.
Sprint actually has the cheapest. It's $15 a month unlimited.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
What's the speed?
EVDO is the fastest network on any of the.
So can I drop DSL?
The only dilemma with Sprint is it's CDMA, not GSM. So.
Verizon, I think it's like $40 to add that.
I priced it all out when I bought mine.
Sprint's 15.
15.
If
1.5.
you're on the same plan that Chris was talking, the speed test he's actually done is 256 up.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's slow DSL speeds is what it comes down to. Yeah.
It sounds like,
and of course, you
We
can
just
get
advertised for Sprint. They should sponsor the Utah Open Source Conference.
you can get the broadband cards that work the same way. They just slide into your PC card slot. It's the same idea. But yeah, with their Power Vision or PCS Vision or whatever, $15 gives you unlimited data. If we're going to talk about the cell phone plans, Sprint has, it's been the best in terms of price.
For data.
Yeah, but I really miss Verizon's service.
Yeah.
But I've been told by the Guru Labs guys that Sprint is actually pretty decent nationwide.
Yeah, we get really good service pretty much.
I go through some little hills and valleys around my house,
you
and
struggle
my
with
calls are being dropped
distance
left and right.
cities and things, but if you're in a major city or like Provo, Salt Lake area, it's pretty good now. So.
You got a question back there?
Well,
You just stretch it.
to link it up with the NetworkManager here in the KPPP.
Woohoo, do it.
Which one, if you buy the PC card, or whether you do tether via USB, is it handled the same way?
That I don't know because I don't have one of those PC cards. I know that the USB. What you do is there's a USB modem software for the Trio that costs like $9, and you go into there and you say enable modem mode. And when you do that and you put it in the cradle, the kernel recognizes that there's a USB serial converter attached to the system, and it creates TTY ACM0. And then when you go into KPPP, you just say, that's my modem, is TTY ACM0.
What's the kernel minimum that you would need for that to work?
Pardon me?
What kernel minimum do you need for that to work?
2.6 something. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, another question?
Well, that's what I was wondering is, doesn't KPPP do some other stuff when it connects? It's trying to do your login and it's trying to do, it's been a while.
It uses WB dial.
Okay.
Which kind of implements.
Is that all working through that's like, is that working?
Yeah.
You got to see it with the phone.
We want to
let's see it.
All right.
We want to see it log in on a terminal.
Oh, I can.
Well, NetworkManager, look, tell you what, this is what we'll do. We'll do this. Come over here and create a console.
You know what?
That's
To
the
be
whole
honest,
thing.
it gets more interesting. I think this is fun.
Time's up.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, we're themed off in the Guru Lab Challenge, and they're going to have a grand challenge.
What was the Guru Lab Challenge?
The Troubleshooting Challenge. They're going to have a grand challenge too tonight.
What is that?
Go and troubleshoot.
He's not going to tell you
the
the
problem.
Broken systems, you got like 3 minutes to figure out. Oh. You get a brief, you get a 30-second ego boosting. It's like we were 30-second explanation of what the problem is.
Actually, I think it is productive because you actually troubleshoot the problem.
And the moment they get into the problem. Okay.
You have to troubleshoot the problem
So
too.
here's a broken machine, fix it.
Yeah, it means valid problem stuff that you would run into every day.
One of my
Like food problems or network problems.
One of my professors set up a situation where
Okay,
on
so
one side
I went into that USB modem software and I enabled the modem mode. You see this TTY ACM0 and ACM device was pretty white. Make that a lot bigger.
Can you drop it?
Oh, sorry.
We're having lots of problems with yours.
Is that readable, or should I make that bigger?
You control plus a couple of times or whatever it is.
It's reasonable.
Yeah, it is plus.
No, it's just shift plus.
No, shift is actually enabled.
It's KDE.
Remember this forever.
Control.
It doesn't work.
Shift plus.
He's not using console. Go to font, edit.
It's Shift plus, but you have to use the keypad in large font. Just go to font and large.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, so now I've got modem modes. Now I can come down to my network manager. Right click, Dialup connections, connect to Trio. Come on. I've got an IP address.
So, in Google, of course.
Yeah, Privet.
Okay,
It works. I've seen it. It's really slick.
That would mean it'd have to be a PPP.
So
It is.
the thing is, it's a PPP connection between your computer and the phone, and then the phone makes the connection out.
It's actually, it's PPP over the USB serial.
Right. So it's just to the phone over the USB serial.
The phone was over.
There it goes.
Yay!
You can see, give you guys an idea of how fast it is. I'll go to Fox News
You
and install.
download your propaganda at slow DSL speeds.
Well, after.
Silence.
After telling Katie that it's okay.
It says the keys just are you sure?
Are you really sure you want to come back?
Yeah, come on.
It's not enough.
Fuck it, we could get over
That's pretty fast.
That's what
Yeah.
That's fast for Fox.
The president wants Democrats and Republicans to get behind his plan for Iraq. Dang it.
Yeah, he's been wanting that for a while.
First you need the plan.
So this is, you can tell that there's a little bit of latency because, we are going over the cellular network and everything. But the downstream is actually quite fast. So, but I don't really notice it. If I come over here, oh, now somebody's calling me. If I come over here and SSH,
Ask her.
and I do an LS, it's not bad. It's at least as fast as, regular dial. But there is a little bit of latency, but once things start coming down, they come down fast. So let's go back over here real quick. I don't think there's many left here. Oh, there's my mouse. Troubleshooting, we've got, the applets don't really give you a lot of feedback. You saw that I was doing tailing the bar log messages file. That's a really good way to see what Network Manager is doing because it doesn't really give you a lot of feedback other than going through that progress bar when it's connecting to wireless networks. And if it gets stuck, you don't know exactly what it's getting stuck on. Sometimes restarting the Network Manager service and just kind of restarting that sometimes makes things magically work. So it's not a perfect system, but in my opinion, it's a good direction to be going. And for people who want to see wider adoption of NetworkManager as a desktop operating system, for people who want to see Linux as a wider adoption, NetworkManager is going to help make that happen. Okay, any questions before I excuse you?
What's that cradle called that you put your phone in? Is it,
What's what?
What's the cradle called?
USB Trio Cradle that I bought off eBay for $6.
That's hyphenated. Thank you.
USB cradle.
Yeah.